Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 marked one of the most drastic transformations the international defense industry has witnessed in the 21st century. In this video, we'll analyze the two realities that have emerged as a result of the war and have affected Russian defense export capabilities, and who's willing to buy its military systems. The video will highlight how the Ukraine war has reasonably affected Moscow's customer base, where previous buyer countries have either canceled orders or decreased their dependency on Russian-made weapons in order to invest in their own domestic industries. Second, the report will illustrate how new players have been propelled forward by capitalizing on Russian military companies' focus on the conflict in order to win export contracts. The conflict between the Kremlin and Ukraine has not only impacted Russia's global standing, but has also put its role as a leading arms exporter in jeopardy. The decline in Russia's arms exports began back in the early 2010s, fueled by Western sanctions and growing domestic arms production in China and India. The invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and subsequent sanctions have only intensified these challenges, straining Russia's defense production, damaging its arms reputation, and complicating payment options for existing customers. Russia is currently struggling to meet its arms sales commitments, raising doubts about its reliability as a supplier. Despite maintaining competitiveness in areas like missile defense, aircraft, armored vehicles, naval systems, and engines, recent trends indicate a significant decline in Russian arms exports across these categories. Key customers, including India and China, are also becoming less dependent on Russian arms due to efforts in import substitution and diversification, especially given the instability in Russia's defense industrial base since 2022. While Russia may face difficulties in the advanced military weapons market, it's likely to hold its ground in the lower-cost segment, given the widespread use, reliability, and affordability of Russian systems. Even though these deliveries may not contribute significantly to the monetary value, they continue to provide diplomatic benefits, particularly in Africa. The sharp drop in Russian arms exports is notable, reaching levels not seen since the Soviet Union's collapse. However, it's crucial to note that this decline started in earnest in 2019, with a nearly 20% reduction compared to the peak in 2011. By 2022, Russian arms exports had plummeted by almost 70%, delivered to only 12 countries compared to 35 in 2011. While the war in Ukraine is often cited as a major factor, the decline in Russia's arms industry was already underway. The country faces significant challenges, leading to questions about its future global influence and increased reliance on oil and gas exports. With the defense industry struggling, Russia's position as a superpower is diminishing, emphasizing its status as an ordinary petrostate. The causes behind this fall in the arms sector include Western sanctions, domestic production challenges, and a broader decline in Russia's international influence. Delving into the SIPRI numbers unveils crucial insights into the ongoing transformation of the Russian export market. Notably, among its top 10 largest customers, Russian arms sales have seen a significant shift, with declines evident in 8 of these key partnerships, some experiencing catastrophic drops. The most substantial news is the staggering 37% decrease in arms sales to India, historically the largest recipient of Russian weapons. The remaining 7 customers witnessed an average decline of 59%. In contrast, China demonstrates a noteworthy 39% increase in arms purchases, while Egypt saw a remarkable 44% uptick. These boosts propelled both nations to the second and third positions respectively among destinations for Russian arms exports, following India. Examining recent developments sheds light on potential trajectories for foreign markets of Russian arms. However, the downsides may be categorized into 3 cases, each representing distinct dimensions of Russia facing setbacks. This nuanced exploration of the SIPRI numbers underscores the complex dynamics at play in the evolving landscape of Russian arms exports. The contrasting fortunes among major customers highlight the challenges Russia encounters in maintaining its position in the global arms trade and the strategic importance of nurturing key alliances to counterbalance declines in certain markets. One major factor contributing to Russia's challenges in the arms trade is India's shifting stance. Despite being a significant democracy, India has refrained from taking a clear stand against Russian aggression and has taken advantage of discounted Russian oil, aligning with China in this regard. However, what adds more weight to the situation is India's decision to diversify its arms suppliers away from Russia, marking a significant shift in the long run. Over the periods analyzed by SIPRI, Russia's share of India's arms imports decreased from 62 to 45%. This is a noteworthy development considering that India remains the largest arms importer globally. The shift away from Russia as a primary arms supplier isn't surprising, given India's less than positive experiences with defense cooperation. The purchase of an old Russian aircraft carrier turned out to be problematic, labeled as a train wreck due to incomplete refurbishment by contractors. Additionally, India's interest in Russian submarines dwindled in 2013 after a tragic incident where a Russian-built sub exploded and sank in Mumbai, resulting in the loss of 18 crew members. In a recent development, India has signed a contract with German ThyssenKrupp for 6 new submarines, signaling a move towards diversification. Furthermore, there are official considerations for additional purchases, including 3 Scorpion-class submarines and 26 Dassault Rafale fighter jets, as announced ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Paris in mid-July. This shift in arms procurement signifies a broader trend away from heavy reliance on Russian arms, posing a substantial challenge to Russia's position in the global arms market. A second noteworthy example is Iran, which provides Russia with Shahed attack drones for use against Ukraine. Rumors suggest that Iran discussed giving Russia ballistic missiles in exchange for modern Russian fighters. Moscow has promised to send 50 Su-35 combat jets as part of an agreement signed with former Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. However, Iran does not expect delivery anytime soon. Brigadier General Vahedi, the head of the Iranian Air Force, said he had no idea when the Russian jets would arrive in his squadrons. Another significant case affecting Russia's global arms exports is Serbia, traditionally seen as a close ally. In April 2023, President Alexander Vučić announced Serbia's plan to purchase 12 new Dassault Rafale jets from France, potentially adding a dozen more used planes from another Western country. This isn't the first time Serbia has opted for Western suppliers, having acquired helicopters from Airbus in 2016 and Mistral surface-to-air missiles in 2019. These instances suggest a potential shift away from Russia as a trusted arms provider. These 3 cases shed light on how geopolitical dynamics are working against Russia. In the case of India, frustrations over delays and inefficiencies in Russian arms deliveries coincides with concerns about the evolving security landscape in the Indo-Pacific. As major Western powers form alliances to counterbalance China, India may reconsider its alignment with Russia, especially as Russia becomes more dependent on China. The situation in Iran underscores the tough choices Russia faces in the complex security dynamics of the Middle East. While maintaining good relations with Tehran is essential, supplying advanced weapons like the Su-35 could provoke a severe response from Israel, which has maintained a low profile in supporting Ukraine. Finally, Serbia's case illustrates how the allure of European Union membership weakens Russian influence in the Balkans. Despite a long tradition of Slavic brotherhood with Russia, Belgrade, now a candidate for EU membership, is under pressure to reduce ties with Moscow. President Vučić, despite lingering sympathies for Russia, not only increases weapon purchases from the West, but also aligns with Western powers in condemning Russian aggression against Ukraine. The broader question remains whether countries like China and Egypt will continue being reliable customers for Russian arms. The answer hinges on the ability of Russian arms producers to meet demand and supply. Assessing Russia's future role in the global arms trade depends significantly on the outcome of the war in Ukraine. In the short term, Moscow faces challenges in appearing as a reliable supplier, evident in the cancellation of the biennial MAX Air Show scheduled for July. Traditionally a crucial platform for Russian arms makers to showcase and sign contracts, this year's cancellation reflects the uncertainty surrounding Russian arms and their market appeal. Russia's military intervention in Ukraine is wreaking havoc on the future outlook for Russian arms exports, with repercussions extending beyond mere revenue losses. Given that arms exports have traditionally served as a pivotal tool in the Kremlin's foreign policy, a diminishing presence in the global arms market directly undermines Russia's geopolitical standing. Recent data from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute reveals a concerning trend. Russia's share of global arms exports experienced a notable decline, dropping from 22% during the period of 2013 to 2017 to 16% from 2018 to 2022. Concurrently, the United States solidified its position as the global leader, increasing its share from 33% to 40%. Although these figures already indicate a discernible downward trajectory in Russian arms exports over the decade leading up to the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, they only offer a glimpse into the broader consequences of that aggression. When data for the period of 2023 to 2027 is eventually published, it's anticipated to reveal a stark and potentially precipitous decline in Russia's arms exports, marking a significant shift in the global arms market dynamics. Looking ahead, Russia is set to face a formidable challenge in rebuilding its military forces, and the road ahead is an uphill struggle. The ongoing destruction of equipment in Ukraine's battlefields, coupled with the degradation of available equipment due to the need for cannibalization to secure parts, poses a significant obstacle. Russian aviation is particularly hard hit by this issue. While sanctions-busting efforts have ensured a flow of microprocessors, enabling arms producers to maintain some output, the reliance on modernizing old equipment stored for extended periods, often outdoors, doesn't bode well for exports. Rebuilding military-industrial capabilities is further complicated by critical suppliers of military technology being located in currently unfriendly countries. Ukraine, in particular, served as a vital source for inputs such as helicopter engines, naval diesel turbines, and even the maker of the SS-18 intercontinental ballistic missile, a cornerstone of Russia's ground-based nuclear deterrent. With severed ties to the manufacturer in Dnipro, there are doubts about the maintenance of the current stock of armed missiles deployed in silos. The diminishing number of operational Su-25 ground attack aircraft raises concerns, given that the main production facility in Georgia was bombed during the 2008 war, ceased operating in 2010, and production inside Russia halted in 2017. While overcoming these challenges theoretically is possible, it requires practical import substitution, bringing questions of domestic manufacturing performance to the forefront. Corruption and nepotism are undermining the quality of crucial weapon systems, exemplified by the erratic performance of the Bulava missile developed for the new Bore class of nuclear submarines. This inconsistency is reported to pose a greater threat to the Russian Navy than its U.S. counterpart. Before the full-scale invasion, Russian President Vladimir Putin frequently touted a range of new wonder weapons, including the avant-garde hypersonic glide vehicle, the 9M730 Burevestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile, the 3M22 Zircon scramjet-powered hypersonic anti-ship cruise missile, the KH-47M2 Kinzhal hypersonic air-launched ballistic missile, and the Poseidon very long-range nuclear-armed doomsday torpedo. Putin especially emphasized the invincibility of hypersonic missiles, claiming that no American air defense could counter them. However, reality has unfolded differently. The Ukrainian Patriot battery successfully thwarted an incoming volley of 6 Kinzhal missiles bound for Kiev. While the maker of the Patriot system, Raytheon, is poised for increased demand, the outlook for the Kinzhal missile manufacturer may not be as optimistic. The performance of Russian high-precision weapons in the conflict with Ukraine has been subpar. The kill ratio of incoming missiles has been notably high, and those breaching Western-made air defenses have had limited impact on high-value military targets. Consequently, Russian high command has shifted focus to targeting soft civilian targets, which is not a compelling sales pitch for countries anticipating potential conflicts against opponents armed with Western-supplied weaponry. The conclusion drawn is that very few countries, if any, with access to Western arms are willing to consider purchasing from Russia. India has been a notable exception, but that trend may be changing. Looking beyond the war in Ukraine, two distinct scenarios emerge. Should Russia emerge from the war with a negotiated solution and a reduction of sanctions, there could be efforts to strengthen alliances and revive its military industries. This would likely involve continued collaboration with China and an emphasis on cultivating markets in countries that align with Moscow during the conflict. However, even in such a scenario, the prospects appear bleak. The once prominent rise of Egypt as a market for Russian arms experienced a setback during 2021 and 2022, marked by no deliveries of Russian arms. Early in 2022, Cairo canceled a significant order for advanced Su-35 combat jets, a move mirrored by Algeria and Indonesia. Furthermore, the volume of Russian deliveries to China from 2020 to 2022 was notably lower than the preceding years of 2018 to 2019. Convincing these pivotal markets to trust Russia once again will prove to be a formidable challenge. The more plausible and likely scenario is that Russia faces defeat in Ukraine and remains subject to sanctions for an extended period. While sanctions evasion might aid in the reconstruction of the Russian armed forces, the resulting technological level may not be attractive for export. Crucially, China may gradually phase out its reliance on Russia, intensifying its domestic production of advanced weaponry and employing reverse engineering of Russian weapons to oust the Kremlin from other markets. This shift could significantly impact Russia's standing in the global arms trade, prompting a reevaluation of its strategies and alliances. The ripple effects of such developments may reshape the dynamics of international relations, particularly in the realm of military cooperation and defense technology exchange. The uncertainty surrounding Russia's future in the arms market underscores the complex geopolitical landscape and the intricate interplay of factors influencing the trajectory of nations in the aftermath of conflict.